Let's open the console connection to the controller using a console cable or via the virtual console if you're deploying a cloud controller. After powering on the controller, wait for the system to load completely until you are asked to start the configuration. Answer no and terminate the auto-install script. Press Enter to access to the command prompt. Now, enter into the configuration level so we can start with the configuration by typing enable and config. First, let's ensure to configure the essentials. Define a hostname for the wireless LAN controller. After this, the command prompt will change to the name you just have defined. Create a local username and password for the management access. Enable the local username that will be used in further logins, either via console, SSH, or GUI. These commands will also prepare the system to use AAA for more complex user login and client authentication via TACACS or Radius. Make sure to enable SSH, have enough VTY lines, and remove any other non-secure transport. For proper IP communication of the controller, define the VLAN to be used to manage the controller. This interface will also be used to form the cab-up tunnel between the controller and the access points. Similarly, define all other VLANs that will belong to the wireless client segments. Create an SVI associated to the management VLAN. Add the management VLAN gateway as the default route. Finally, ensure that the recently created SVI is being assigned as the official wireless management interface. Ensure that the controller data ports will be set as trunk and allow only the VLANs used by the controller. Optionally, you can also configure the dedicated service port on your physical appliance to use it as an alternative way to access to the controller configuration. Set the service port IP address in this interface called Gigabit Ethernet 0 and ensure to define the service port default gateway into the VRF domain of the service port interface. Once the mentioned configuration has been placed, you will now be able to access to the controller via SSH, either via the WMI IP address or the service port IP address. For proper login and monitoring, ensure to have the following. Ensure to set the date and time as accurate as possible. If available, it is strongly recommended to define an NTP server for your controller time synchronization. Configure the proper time zone. This shows an example for configuring America's Eastern Time. Ensure to keep correct time tracking for the login messages and a fairly high buffer size for local login storage. Enable remote SSH for the APs. And if available, activate the delivery of the AP's logs to an external 6-log server. For proper GUI access, let's ensure that only HTTPS service is active for administrative access, while keeping HTTP only for future web-out applications. Let's also define the recommended virtual IP address for web-out. Enable proper TCP activity monitoring to avoid admin GUI issues. The following commands will ensure that the controller will be ready to start registering access points. Define the countries where the access points will be physically installed. Only if you are using a cloud-based wireless controller, ensure to configure the following to allow your access points to trust the controller certificate. Let's confirm that the wireless management interface is now ready to accept cab-up connections by presenting the correct certificates. Finally, save all the configuration. After this set of configurations, your controller is ready to be accessible remotely also via GUI and accept the join request of your Cisco access points.